Hey, Natalie, sorry.
No worries. Have to do this all the time. Hopefully
Oh,
everyone
really?
got their email too. Yeah, anybody who has a free account, we just rejoin or send out a new link. Yeah.
Oh, because I was able to use the Waterford account until last night when I was trying to do this. Now they have a two-step verification process where it was sending a code to Mr. Moscow's email. And so that was the end of it.
Yeah, hopefully my friend Mike and Luis join as well.
Yeah. Thank you for joining, guys.
Mhm.
Are you in town now? Or did you go back?
I came back this morning.
Oh, wow. Nice. Oh, you're already in San Francisco?
Yeah, I stopped by the Waterford on Friday though.
Oh, how did you like the new changes that we've been making here?
I didn't really notice many. I saw that the lines in the parking lot were different.
In the hallway, right? Did you like the hallways? And
Well, I didn't go upstairs. I only stayed downstairs in the lobby area.
oh, okay.
But next time I come back, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Hi, Mike.
Hey again. Natalie, are you not living in the building anymore?
No, I live in San Francisco.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we moved here last year. It's almost been a year since I've been here.
Oh, wow, cool. So you're renting your unit?
Yeah, we have tenants now. This mother and adult son who moved in, and it's been great. We still have not met them, but
Oh, really?
yeah, so we did everything through a realtor friend. So I went there on Friday hoping to meet her, but she had some family emergencies. So next time we go back, we'll try to make sure I get a chance to say hi in person.
I want to see if I can. Oh, I want to see if I can find Luis's phone number. Did I miss anything about what you guys were saying when the Zoom thing cut me off?
Luis was saying something, I believe.
Marcella, do you know what the difference in the rebate was if you just got one charger?
Not offhand, but I do have that information, but it was like not comparable at all. Luis, we are on the second meeting. Are you joining us? I send.
Yeah, what do I need to do?
Just leave that meeting if you're still there, close it, and then I send you an email with the link for the new meeting. You just have to rejoin.
Oh, okay, all right. Let me look for it.
Thanks. Bye. Yeah, so I have that, but it's like, for example, what I do remember is that there was no deal that they would pay for 5-year insurance and subscription to the cloud. It was like a year only that they would pay. So that's a lot of money right there, for example. But that's what Charles Clem wanted. He wanted to just install 2 charging stations, same thing, but only have one operating, one working. And then once more people started buying cars and, you know, there was more traffic, then, you know, activate the second one, but that's not possible. We can't get the money and do that.
All right.
welcome back.
Okay.
And I don't know what you guys were saying, but just as a parenthesis, this other company that's doing the study on energy efficiency here, the ERA Solutions, they already have gone through the building and they've looked at everything. In their package that they are recommending that we do, they still have as a recommendation for us to install same thing, 2 charging stations with 2 ports each. Except that this is gonna take longer and they are not, they are saying that they cannot guarantee us that this type of rebate. So it's like sooner or later, we're gonna do it no matter what, because it's already here. And this recommendation that goes with the new elevators. And what else, Luis? I mean, Luis is an engineer, he knows.
Now it's all kinds of efficiency, cogeneration, heat recovery, get rid of the oil boiler and have cogenerating so that you get the heat and you get the electricity, you get electricity for it, which might be able to take care of the elevators. Right now, there are a couple of emergency generators that are oversized and hardly used. So, but anyway, it's a comprehensive energy efficiency project that ought to result in a higher efficiency, less use of electricity, and a smaller carbon print, which is something that the government is pushing for or requiring.
Right, and this company is also recommending that we do the solar paneling. So these changes are coming no matter what. This is what I'm trying to convey to residents, that even though they may not like it, they may resist these ideas, they are coming no matter what. The point is, do we do them now or do we do them later? And right now we have the rebates pretty much guaranteed, you know. Luis sent in his email the other day some documentation, and one of them was a new law that just was passed in Maryland by the Senate, the Senate in Maryland, and they say that correct me if I'm wrong, Luis. But this document basically is in the email that you guys received last week, I think, from him in the group email. But basically what they're saying is that this new law is going to trump any rules that multifamily dwellings like ours have or other housing areas have when it from getting on the way of people who want to have their own charging stations. So for example, according to this, anybody who has a covered parking lot downstairs, including Alan Bear and I don't know the other people who have it, but they have that underground parking space that belongs to them. They pay for it. They can install their own charging stations there. And I don't care what our condominium rules say. This law says that we cannot stand on their ways. They can install their own charging stations. So there's a lot of changes that are coming. Anyway, where were we on the votes before? We voted.
I think what I started to say when the lights went out, I believe that these machines can communicate and give an information of when person X starts using the charging and when it ends the charging. So we do have records of when it's finished, and then if it's there for after a certain amount of time, you know, maybe he'll take this person will take the car an hour or 2 hours later, so there won't be time to have anybody tow him away or whatever. But we will have a record that he finished or she finished at 10 o'clock, and at midday, car was still there.
Right.
By visual observation or otherwise. So it is not that difficult, you know, it is difficult to enforce, but at least we have a record and we can say warning one, second time, $50, $25 fine.
Right, I agree that maybe the beginning should be a warning, and I'm totally against towing people, at least residents, because that's very expensive and it's inconvenient. I mean, if we're towing their car, but they have to get an Uber to go out of in the middle of nowhere to get their car, and that's serious money. I mean, and all these things that we need to agree on are realistically not gonna be happening tomorrow or next year probably, because right now, I think one person has an electric car here in the building. So these are things that will start happening as people start buying these cars. And Charles wants us to take care of all the details now, so that the front desk or the board doesn't have to be having meetings and meeting upon meeting about these things. So you guys said, okay, so Natalie said, if I'm not mistaken, Natalie, did you say $50 ticket for residents? And did you say towing for outsiders? Is that what you said?
So I said, if we are not going to be towing, we have a process now for residents that if they are violating parking policy, that we can give them a ticket. It doesn't necessarily have to be of like monetary value that they have to pay to the condominium, but if they are continuing to violate the policy, then we should look at what is the next step, and is the next step to charge them a fee for violating this policy. And it could be $50, it could be whatever.
Right,
Whatever people want to do.
we need to decide now what the next step would be though. What do you think the next step should be?
So after we give a warning and they continue to do that, then like, why not a $50 charge that they have to pay to the association?
Okay. And the outsiders who leave cars here, they should be told, right?
Outsiders who leave cars here. So I think that they absolutely should be towed. But when do we begin the towing? Because these are not those rapid charging stations. I think if you don't live at the Waterford, you should not leave your car for any extended period of time. But it sounds like we might be also trying to have a partnership with the surrounding buildings, where we're going to allow people from the surrounding buildings to charge on our property.
Not that I know of.
I thought that came up in conversation here.
No,
No.
I was asking if there were any charging stations next door, because the only people who might be interested in coming in, other than a crazy emergency, would be those who are next door. Because otherwise, and then again, I don't know, if anybody there will have an electric car. So no, there is no
partnership.
maybe it could be negotiated, but no, there isn't anything going on with them. I think again, we will be able to, using the cloud and the facilities of the charging station, to know when the charging started and when it ended.
That's
And
correct.
and we can ascertain how much longer the person left the car there without taking it away.
Right, because people, they have an app where they can, for example, if I have a charging a car and I put it to charge and I go to sleep, I can set my alarm and I can see in my app, and they'll send me a notice when it's done. And so the front desk will have something similar where they can see the activity of the 4 stations, and they see when a specific car stop the charging.
Given that there is an account for these individuals who are charging, do you know if we will have a way to maybe suspend an account as a penalty, like prevent them from using the charger for a period of time?
I think that's quite, I don't know, but I think that would be very sensible.
You mean residents or anybody?
Someone who violates the rules, I think primarily residents, because it's like non-residents we're just towing.
Right. I mean, we could come up with that rule now. How many,
I don't know that it's
how many
feasible. Is it-
violations would trigger that action?
Well, is it feasible? I don't even know that it's actually technically feasible for us to do that. I'm not sure what the system allows. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
I don't know. I know that you use a credit card or whatever for that, but I don't know how. If it's probably programmable, I would imagine, but I don't know. We have to find out from the vendor.
I mean, I would think that just giving them a ticket, and if they don't pay, it becomes part of what they owe to the condominium. You know what I mean?
No, but
Just
I
like
think
anything else, it gets added to your condominium fees, to condominium expenses.
I know, but I think Mike has a very good point. That is, if you have a car and you need to charge it because you bought the electric car and you abuse the system and you get suspended, you're not going to do it again.
Right.
So the question is, and this we need to find out from the vendor, can you disconnect their account so that they cannot use the machine? So,
Or that they have to pay a higher rate, right? I mean, if maybe their resident account becomes deactivated, even if they create a new account, they're paying 50 cents per kilowatt. They're not going to be happy about that.
Right.
Okay, I'll write
Yes.
that down.
But I don't think that negates anything you were saying, Marcella, and also Natalie. I think that, we can still follow this protocol of ticketing folks, but it would be a point for us to clarify with the vendor is what control do we have over access on the accounts?
Right.
As like our next step potentially.
Right.
And also, Marcella, whether, because I think Mike's idea is very good too, whether you can increase the price for a particular person because of breaking the rules.
Yeah, and that would send a strong message, because it would be inconvenient for them if they need to charge all night to take it to the grocery store or the parking lot. That's not cool. So I think they would get the message if they have that type of consequence.
So you have two questions for the vendor, whether you can disconnect and whether you can change the rate.
Okay, I can do that. And Natalie is right, because people do disobey. I've been finding out now in my privileged position, like sometimes if someone gets sent a letter about an infraction, that doesn't deter people. You would think that would deter people, but not necessarily. Sometimes the same offense keeps happening over and over. So yeah.
So the one thing that helped with the parking committee a while back is when we put the notices on the cars, people started to get the hint and stopped doing stuff because the threat of towing was there. I think if anything, that is our biggest deterrent from people violating this policy over and over again. But I do think if we are going to increase somebody's rate and they no longer have the resident rate, then it has to be a time limit. It can't be just for the foreseeable future.
Right.
So there's
right.
a lot of other things that we would have to do there in order to determine what's equitable around that process.
Well, but let's talk about it now. What would be fair? A month? 3 months?
I'm sorry?
What would be a fair amount of punishment, a length of time of punishment for that violator that violated the rules and they got the price raised to double, for example, or their account suspended? Would 3 months of that be enough, or 1 month?
You know what? I honestly think we just tow. And like,
No,
yeah. No,
I think that suspension of privileges, suspension of use, probably 4 or 5 days will be enough to create havoc, because cars can only, they will run only for after a week. Even if they only go to the grocery store, they'll be out of juice. So we could do it 1, 2, 3 weeks. It doesn't matter. Knowing that you cannot charge a car would be enough of a deterrent. Knowing that it's going to cost you more would be a second deterrent.
Okay, so what length of the punishment do you think it should be, Luis?
Wow. Yeah, it's 4 weeks.
Maybe let's maybe see if it's even possible. That might be the best.
Yeah,
You know what I
yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
maybe our
but that
only,
way we don't have to revisit this since we're talking about it and, you know. So, okay, you said a month. What do you think, Natalie?
I mean, I think if we're going to be doing something like that, then a month. But honestly, I think the best course of action is towing.
You mean like if a resident has their account suspended and they still try to do it, then tow?
No, I just think if people are going to be violating the policy, just like, so what Mike was saying in the beginning, like what our policy is, if you are not abiding by the rules of the parking lot, you get towed. And so you've gotten a warning, you know what the rules are. Like after we've done the warning process, you've gotten this ticket, you know what the rules are. If you
Okay.
continue to do it, every time you do it, you're going to get towed.
Actually, isn't that the rule for the handicap spaces?
Say that again.
If you park on the handicap space and you don't have the tag,
You get
what is the
towed.
consequence? You get towed.
Yeah.
And you should
Okay.
get a $200 ticket probably, no?
Yeah, but that would be a city ticket, not a.
Oh, okay.
In the
I think
Waterford
that-
parking lot, you immediately get towed.
I think that's fine.
And
Anybody
inconvenience.
who parks there who should not be there gets towed.
Okay, and what do you think, Mike?
yep, works for me.
Okay, thank you. What's the next item, please?
Wait a second. I have to look at my phone. So we went from cost to penalty. How much time would be an appropriate grace period before you start? I'll say at least, half an hour, 1 hour. Like I said, it can't be too small. I do walk down the steps, but I'm on the 4th floor when the elevator doesn't work, even when the elevator works. But, yeah, we need at least maybe an hour grace period.
So here's the tricky part about this is that I think that especially if we have people charging overnight, their cars may finish at 4 a.m.
Right.
Are we going to be setting certain hours that, it needs to be available within 30 minutes or something?
I don't know about the rest, but I would say yes, because in the beginning, we won't have a lot of track or activity, but once that people start buying more and more of these cars, once they see we have this, we probably will have more than 4 people with cars, and they all need to charge the car. So as soon as they're done, they need to move so the other person can charge. I mean,
And then-
within the grace
disagree.
period. You disagree?
I disagree only because like I'm with Mike, so my next car, and I'm about to buy a new car, I'm going to get an EV. And so if you're telling me if my car is done at 4, I have to move my car by 4:30, I'm just not going to use it. So like, then we are not going to get the benefit of making our money back and making the return back, because people are just going to go other places and just use it even when they have to. But I think bare minimum, you give people 12 hours, period. After a 12-hour mark, your car needs to be moved. That way, if it takes your car 8 hours, takes your car 9 hours to fully charge, it gives us to a place where, okay, maybe we can have them at a reasonable amount of time to be able to move their car.
Okay.
It still sort of doesn't necessarily negate that you might have to move your car at 4 a.m., but at least your car might be done before that, and you're not having to worry about a 30-minute grace period.
And I think that might be a good starting point also, given that we, at least from what I'm hearing, we don't yet have many people that have EVs or plug-in hybrids. Is that correct?
Yeah, we don't.
That is correct.
That might be a good starting point.
But shall we put it in the language that as soon as the building has, say, more cars, I don't know how many can we come up with, 4 cars in the building or 10, whatever, then we need to change the time, because I mean, right now it wouldn't be a big deal if we have 4 charging stations and someone stays there until the morning, is fine. But what if then we have 20 people with cars, and
Then we'll have 20 stations.
Oh, you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be, I mean, once we have a lot of people that have cars, I mean, we may have to have a different conversation anyways.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the questions for the ERA study is, with the way, the design that they're doing, how much additional power is available in case we need to have additional EV stations.
I guess that's for a different committee to find out.
No, but I mean, just looking ahead, because,
All right.
you know,
Alan wants to do that. Alan wants to do 20 charging stations outside. So ask him.
no, we can do that now, but, because that's too much of an investment without knowing the return.
Right.
But, gas is $5 a gallon, guys.
Yes. And
It's
how much?
$7 here.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Where is here?
I'm in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, $7. I'm upstate New York is 5.25. So
Wow, that's crazy.
So I think if we're talking about future planning here, we need to talk about upgrading to rapid charging stations. That's the only way we can make this a possibility. Let's say we have 20 people who do have EVs, then let's upgrade the system we have. So maybe we only have 4 spots, but they're rapid charging spots. So they only need to be there max 2 hours. And so this becomes less and less of an issue.
Mhm.
I think this is a great starting point, but I don't think designating more spots, but upgrading the technology
Yeah,
is
that's
what
a good
might be
idea.
better.
Definitely.
Good point.
yes, Natalia, but I think that if we start getting more cars who need to charge, whether it's fast charge or slow charge, those cars are using spaces that used to be used by gasoline cars. So the spaces will be available. It's not like we're taking people spaces away. And I think that we'll need to have more machines. But anyway, that's the future.
Yeah, I think we can upgrade to a few more machines, but I don't think it should be 20 spots that are just EV spots.
Right.
But we have 4 spots and you get 3 hours, charge your car, it's fully charged, you move on.
Exactly. That sounds good. I like that idea.
Will there, so given that we have 4 designated spots, and as Natalie mentioned earlier, I remember my time in the Waterford, there was times where there was not parking. Is there going to be any leniency for people to be able to park there when there are literally no spots available for residents?
I mean, we can probably turn first of all, the only enforcer would be the front desk, and after hours, they're not here. I mean, unless someone reports that someone wants to charge and say, hey, I want to charge, and all the 4 spaces are being taken and not charging, let me take the plate, write the plate number down and give it to Moscow in the morning for that person to get a ticket. No one is going to be doing that for real.
I did actually. Corbin and I would go out at midnight and we did it. We did it a couple of times, and that was the only way that we got the parking lot to thin out. It got rid of community members who used to park in our parking lot all the time, and it got to a point where there were no spots. And so it will have to be sort of like the chair of the parking committee doing that.
You mean you're talking about the people from the other condominiums next to us that used to come here?
Yeah, so
Mhm.
there was those people, and then also people in our own building who had 16 bajillion cars for one unit, and we did a whole analysis up on who had what, just to understand if we had enough spaces for the amount of people in the building. And then we realized we should have enough, but folks were not doing the right thing, or they'd have people stay for extended period of time, and it just became a thing.
Yeah.
So that's why we minimized how many parking passes we had. That's why we have the plastic parking passes instead of paper parking passes now. And there will have to be a committee that does go around. It doesn't have to be something that happens all the time, but it is a good deterrent, and it thinned out the parking lot a lot.
Right. Because right now, I'm sure that what you're saying is accurate. But right now, because those people complain about not having parkings, complaining about this project taking 4 spaces, and that we won't have enough for the residents, we kept log of the parking spots available. I think you missed that part in the beginning. And there's an average of 15 open spaces every night, together between the front and the back parking lot. And most of the parking lots are in the very back, and right here outside my apartment towards the the front towards the 7-Eleven. They're open, kind of close to the sidewalk.
I guarantee if you went out one night and you gave people tickets who were violating the parking, it would thin out even more. I guarantee it.
Okay,
Okay.
so Natalie is saying 12 hours for grace period. Luis is saying 1 hour. What do you-
I'm going with Natalie. It makes absolute sense.
And I'm just saying 12 hours period, not a 12-hour grace period, but you've got 12 hours in that spot and that's it. Do what you got to do.
Oh, 12 hours period, I got you. And what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that sounds good to me as well.
Okay. Okay. Anything else in the agenda?
Something about a barbecue?
I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
that's it. That's it. That was the last one.
Oh, that was a joke? Okay. Okay, Luis. Anything else? Anybody has anything else that they'd like to add to this? Natalie, why don't you give us an idea what's like in California with the electric cars are more prevalent and all that. How do things work over there?
So there are agreements with garages. Most of the EV stations are rapid charging in the community. In our building where we live now, people have designated spots. So we have stacked parking. So there's 3 cars that are stacked on top of each other, and there's like a machine that sort of cycles them through. And there are people who have a designated EV spot, so they can charge their car and they don't have to worry about going anywhere else.
And
Not something we-
those people pay more, or why do they have their own private charging
So
station?
because we all pay for our parking here.
Okay.
And so we all have a set amount. And actually they could pay more. I don't know. I don't pay for one of those right now. But they have their own hookup. And
And what percentage would you say of the cars that you see on the road in San Francisco are electric or hybrid?
50%.
Wow.
There's EV stations everywhere. And
That's-
even people who don't have an EV parking spot in our building, they have they park other places. And so like the person who is next to me, I have like 2 Teslas next to me and I don't have an EV spot. They're everywhere. Everybody has one.
And come to 2030, the year 2030, more and more people are gonna get those, yeah, because they're not gonna make any of the other ones anymore, so.
I thought they were still going to make gas cars, but by 2025 or 2030, every car company has to have an electric vehicle.
Now, the majority pledged that by 2030 and 2035, they're not gonna producing those internal combustion cars anymore. Only 2 car companies are trailing behind. I think they're Toyota and Mazda, that they moved to 2045, but all the other car makers are gonna stop making those cars. And I'm so glad.
I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to get now. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
They're just still so real expensive. So expensive.
What about used cars?
What'd you say?
Pre-owned cars?
I'm bougie. I want my own.
I see.
No, but they're making some of the cars are a little less expensive. The Ford is not as expensive as the
The Bolt?
Ford. No, even the Mustang.
Mm.
Well, it also depends if you buy, like, some of the manufacturers still have that $7,500 credit that you can get. Like a lot of them, like Tesla has sold too many vehicles, so you can't get any credit. But like, I think Chevy still has one, and
Really?
yeah, you can still get that credit on a lot of different vehicles.
Where do you get information on that? On the dealership's website, or?
If you just Google EV credit, I think there's a government website that shows all of the manufacturers and which ones still have which specific models and which years
Okay.
still have a credit. And like some of them that are like plug-in hybrids,
Mhm.
like they're eligible for 4,000, but then some of them
that just haven't sold enough to reach that 200,000 car threshold
Oh,
are still eligible for like $7,500 off.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I came from Washington to upstate New York, Boku money. And I have a very efficient Hyundai, but you know, it still costs a lot of money just to fill it up.
Right, exactly. So thanks everyone for attending. I will write the minutes and send them to you for approval or any edits, and then we can post those on the website. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Nice
Al.
talking to you.
Nice meeting you guys. I didn't know you, Natalie or Mike, so I appreciate meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you, Luis.
Bye, guys.
See you
Later.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.